Hello everyone, and welcome to part 3 of how to port a mech from MechWarrior Online to Battletech. Today we are going to cover a few things. End of last episode we saw our brand new made asset bundle crash the game. After some digging around, a little bit of troubleshooting, we found that with the update to 1.3, some of our larger asset bundles actually need to be compressed in order to work with the game. And I will show you how to do that right now. You can do this using Unity Asset Bundle Extractor. Select File, select Compress. And then it is going to ask you which asset bundle you want to compress. So I want to compress our Manifested, which is the last one we made. You open that. You want to use the LZ4 compression. You select OK. It will ask you what you want to save it as. I will go to my actual mods folder. This is where the game is going to be launching. If the game is not running, you can actually just replace it. If the game is running, then you would have to save it as, let's say, Hellbringer base. What I normally do is Hellbringer base 002. Once that's done, delete 001, rename 002 to 001, and then launch the game. So once we get into the game, we should see an Orion, because we haven't moved any of the body parts over. I have since completed the Hellbringer, so all the definition files are complete. And I actually tested this before launch, so it works. Before I started recording, so it does work. A much faster way to get in, instead of going to single player and setting up your skirmish and going in, you do that the first time and then you save it. And then once you save it, just load your save game and it'll go right back in. And that works really well for as you're making changes to the model, because every time you load the save game, it reloads the asset bundle. So you will see your changes just by reloading the save game. Here we go. So just go to load. I will load Hellbringer test, which I made this save just prior to recording. Once we get loaded in here, now the main reason for dropping without actually overwriting any of the models or any of the meshes for this model is so that excuse me, so that we can verify that all of our definition files and our asset bundle actually works. Once you get to this point where you can load in here, you're going to be good to go. You shouldn't have any problems launching unless you make a major change to your def files or the asset bundle manifest. So we see here that we have our Orion. So next thing we want to do is get our parts and move them over to the Orion. So how we get our parts is when we were in Unity here, at one point we actually took and saved our asset bundle, and then you build asset bundle, and that asset bundle is named Hellbringer parts. Now that we have that done, you open Hellbringer parts in Unity Asset Bundle Extractor. It's going to ask you if you want to unpack it. You select yes, and then rename it. I go really simple. Hellbringer parts unpacked. And save. Now when we go to the info and sort by name, here are all of our Hellbringer parts. As you can see, I already have the weapons in there as well. We're not going to work with the weapons just yet. It's interesting. Go to max. It's very interesting because the weapons are not in my max file yet. And they are not here. So why are they in the asset bundle? They should not be in the asset bundle. So let's rebuild again. Shouldn't need to. Did I open the wrong bundle? Yes, I did. I opened the Kodiak bundle. That was like, what the hell? Alright, so let's go back and open Hellbringer parts and not Kodiak parts. Kodiak was the last mech I was working on, by the way. And there's Hellbringer unpacked. Sort by name. There we go. That looks much better. Okay, so to get our parts moved over, we actually have to export these. What I will do is I will select each part, highlight the name, Control Z to copy, hit Export Raw, navigate to my Hellbringer parts, and then Control V so that the name pops up here. This actually makes moving parts over fairly quickly. You don't have to type everything out for each part that you do. Export, Control V, save. So I'm gonna try to burn through these parts here fairly quickly. So there's the hip, the foot, and the calf. And this is, for those of you new to this, we refer to this as the dance. This is the dance between programs that needs to be done to move a part. In the beginning, it was much worse, because you could only move one part at a time. So you would move that part a little bit, and then you would move it in Blender, and then you would save it, and then import it to Unity, and then build the asset bundle, and then you would come to this step and you would export it from the asset bundle, and then you would import it into the target asset bundle, which we will get here into a minute. And then you would go and launch the game and check the movement of your part, and then you would hopefully it was in the right place. It usually was not. So you would do it again, and again, and again, and again. So we are getting through all of our parts here. just a few left. Alright, and our last piece, which is going to be our center torso. Alright, now that all of our parts are saved in our parts folder, we need to get them into the new bundle. So you'll see here that I think I covered this in a previous video, I pin certain folders. I pin the Windows folder, that is for Joe's Unity project, asset bundles, Windows. That's where all of the asset bundles from Unity save. And it's just a quick shortcut to be able to get there, because you need to open this one every time you export the asset bundle. Like if you make a change, you export the asset bundle from Unity, this is the folder that saves in. The other one is, this is my working folder. This is where my series of asset bundles are. This is the actual folder I want right now. So I'm going to select manifested, and I'm going to open it. Actually, I'll use this one over here. The other one I bring is my parts folder. So sometimes I need to pull that up at a glance to make sure. I tend to check timestamps to see when the last thing I overwrote something is. You'll see this funky left arm clavicle -001. That's actually a really small mesh that I use for hiding pieces that I don't want to see. Like, for example, we'll see here the Orion actually has knees, the Hellbringer does not. So I will use this left arm clavicle 001 to hide the knee pieces from the Orion. Okay, last one that I do is, this is the target asset bundle. This is the one that's actually in the mods and that the game is going to load. Alright, now we need to get all of our parts into, there we go. We need to move our parts over onto our target mech. So our target mech being the Orion. So how you do this, select the part you want to overwrite. In this particular case, right torso rear. And now we're going to import raw instead of export. This is where our shortcut to Hellbringer parts works out well. You'll see these are reverse alphabetical order, so you'll have to change it here. So right torso rear, you just double click, and that's that. It's overwritten. So next we're going to go to right torso, import raw, double click your right torso, and done. Now here you'll see a lot of things like toes, talons, knees. These are all things that the Hellbringer doesn't have. So it doesn't have toes or talons because, if you remember from the previous version, we attached all the toes to the foot, so we don't have to mess with positioning those pieces. There can be a lot of them. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 toe parts for the Stormcrow. So that's a total of 14 parts that you don't have to mess with moving around. Alright, so next, thigh, import. Sorry, thigh, hip, import. And foot, calf. I'm not gonna hide the rest of these parts just yet. Alright, you can go to upper arm. One of the things that I do want to eventually get to is here where you see the upper arm explode. If you go into the Blender file, you'll find an upper arm damaged. And that's what I want to get to overwriting this. There are certain parts, and I'm kind of learning as we're just now getting him into the mech lab, which parts show in the mech lab and which parts don't. I found by observing the Stormcrow that the the clavicle, I thought it blew off, but it does not. So it shows when you, like, if you salvage a damaged mech in the mech lab, it shows. So I want to start getting those damaged pieces moved over as well. Alright, right upper arm. Let's get through these. Import forearm. And this is the part I was talking about, the damaged clavicle. So the parts that explode and actually blow off, which are usually forearm and upper arm, those do not show in the mech lab. They're just missing completely. But the parts that say damage do. Like the left torso rear here, and also the left torso damage, we're actually going to overwrite with the left torso. Otherwise, you will get the actual Orion left torso damaged in the mech lab. Vice, in this case, the Hellbringer. Left torso. Where am I? Here we go. Nope. So I just overwrote left torso rear with left torso. If you slide this out a little bit, there's a field out here that says modify. So you can see which ones you've actually changed. But it helps to pay attention to what you're doing. There we go. Torso rear, left torso. Scroll down, get the thigh. The hip. Then foot and calf. Make sure we get the clavicle and not the clavicle 001. This is the only mech you have to worry about that with. All the rest of them, it'll show up either at the very top or at the very bottom of your list, instead of in the middle of your parts list. Alright, head. Cockpit. Center torso twist. Torso rear, pelvis rear, pelvis, and finally our center torso. Alright, so once you're done pulling all your parts in, you select OK, you select Yes, I want to save these changes. And now you are going to go to File and select Save again. Go to the Asset Bundles folder, and you're going to save whatever naming convention you want to use. I actually put what's been done to it, so as the base objects. Now that we had that saved, in order to test it, we need to compress it. So again, we're going to go double click on Objected, make sure LZ4 is selected, click OK. It's going to ask you where you want to save it. I have the game running at this point. So if you have the game running and you try to save, we'll get OK. That's new. Usually I get an error and it won't let me save when the game is running. So now we want to take a look. We'll go back, just go straight to load game, and hope that it actually uploads, there were some issues with patch 4. I'm on patch 5 now, where your loading wheel would just freeze and the whole game would hang trying to load a combat, like an in-mission combat file while you were in mission. And we do not have that this time. So, now that we've overwritten our parts, we should see Hellbringer.
Interface initiated.
So, we are missing, it looks like we're missing the clavicles, which is not uncommon. The Orion knees are still there. I am pretty sure that this piece here is from the apods that are mounted on the legs. We also see that our upper body is a little high. So in order to correct that, this is what we're going to do. We're going to tab out. I'm going to go to 3D Studio Max. What we have to do to get the body where it needs to be is open my meshes here. Actually, I can start. I do have them. Nice. So I go to upper body. So that selects all my torso pieces. I'm going to come to the skin modifier and under the rollouts underneath. Oh! Alright, so I have a visitor right now. I am going to take a short break and I will be back in a moment.